Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another answering your questions video. I did one of these a few weeks ago and you all really seemed to love it. I got so many requests to make this into a series. If you missed that one, I'll go ahead and link it down below and you can check that one out after this video. A few days ago, I posted on my community tab and I asked all of you what questions you have for me as far as makeup related questions. Just ask me anything and I'll be happy to answer it. I got so many responses and unfortunately I won't be able to answer them all, but I chose 20 questions. I figured that'll kind of make this video like a decent length. So let's go ahead and just get into it and we'll start with the first question, which was, I've used self tanner in the past but don't care for it. What suggestions can you give for a bit of color, at least for my legs? So I am 100% with you because every time I've tried, I think it's because I have dry skin, it tends to cling to areas like my ankles, my feet, my knees, and it looks really unnatural. It can be very streaky. So I just avoid self tanner at all costs. But in the summertime, when I want a little bit of color to my legs, the thing that I love to do is to mix in a little bit of foundation with my body lotion. So I just scoop out a little bit of body lotion or pump some in my hand, whatever I happen to be using that day. And then I'll just pump like 1 or 2 pumps of foundation into that and mix it all together. And this gives you really flawless legs and a little bit of additional color, but it also makes your legs look a little more perfected, almost like you're wearing pantyhose. So it sort of hides any kind of redness, discoloration. If you have little spider veins, it kind of minimizes those. Now, if you want a little bit more color, I would definitely go with a deeper foundation than your skin tone. And I would do this anyway, regardless, because you're going to be mixing it with a lotion that's white in color. So it's going to lighten whatever color that foundation is. So I usually go with one that's a few shades darker than my skin tone, and it'll not only match, but maybe just give me a little hint of like a little bit of a tan, just look like I got a little color. And as long as you're not using a foundation that's very dewy or sticky, it's just going to set down. And I mean, it's not going to be waterproof. I think as long as you're not sitting on like a white or light colored couch or something, it'll be totally fine. I tend to do this more if I'm just going to be out somewhere walking around, like if we're walking around a town or on vacation and I just want to look like I have a little bit of a glow, or if I'm going to an event like a wedding or something. I don't do this all the time for everyday life, but I find it so much easier than those sprays and things because I feel like those tend to have glitter particles in them, or there's sort of an orangey color that doesn't really blend in with my skin very well. So I love the foundation trick just because it gives that same effect without like all the sparkle, and it looks really, really natural. Question number 2 is, do you have the new NARS palette? And if you do, can you please show swatches of it? I'm trying to decide if it's something that I should buy. So I actually do have that one. If you're referring to the Summer Unrated palette, that's the newest one that they have out now. I did purchase it recently. I'm actually wearing it on my eyes today and I really, really love it. I think it's such a beautiful palette, and I think NARS is one of those underrated formulas that not a lot of people talk about, but I just think their shimmers are so stunning and beautiful, and their matte shades as well are just very easy to work with, very blendable. And it's a little bit more of an interesting color story as well because you have some warmer tones in here. It's very neutral. So if neutrals bore you, then you're probably not going to like it. But what I like about it is it's sort of a mix of those typical warm tones, warm browns and bronze and gold, but also you have some really pretty pinks and rosy tones in here. So it's a nice combo. And like I said, I've just really been enjoying the formula. I think it's beautiful. You can really see just how shiny the shimmers are, but they're not like super glittery. They're not chunky. They're really nice and smooth. I happen to think NARS has a really great formula. You honestly can't go wrong with it, but I did just want to show you a quick comparison with another palette in my collection that I felt like had some similar shades in it, and that's the Your Golden palette from ColourPop. This is also kind of a summery themed palette, and it throws you off a little bit because it has some of those pops of blue in it, but if you take those away, there are just so many similarities with these color stories. Here they are side by side, and I really think they are very, very close. If you have your golden already, you might not necessarily need the NARS one, especially because ColourPop does have a really nice formula. I don't think it's quite as good as NARS, especially when it comes to the shimmers, because ColourPops can be a little hit or miss. Some of them are a little more crumbly, some of them are smooth, but I feel like you honestly can't beat the ones in the NARS palette. So I say if you like it, go for it. I think it's a beautiful palette. I've really been enjoying wearing wearing it a lot. Question number 3 is, hi Jen, I'd like to hear about your makeup brush care routine. How often do you clean brushes? What cleaner do you use, etc.? Thanks. So this is something I haven't really talked about much on my YouTube channel, but I do have a TikTok video showing how I clean my brushes. This is honestly the most easy way I have found so far. I used to sit there at the sink with soap and I would kind of like rub each brush for a while, and it was sort of a more involved and complicated process, but I found something that Sigma actually sells, and it's their Sig Magic brush cleaner, and I do have a video on TikTok showing exactly what I do, so let me just play that for you guys really quick. Today I'm going to show you the quickest way to clean your makeup brushes. This is the Sig Magic scrub from Sigma, so you just take this little disc and stick the suction cups right to the edge of your sink, and inside it's filled with soap and these little silicone scrubby bits. So then you take your dirty brush, just run it under some water, and then rub it around in the soap, back and forth a few times. And then just go ahead and rinse off all of the excess soap. And that's it. My brush is clean again. Okay, so question number 4 is, now that Beauty Pie is free to join, I decided I'm going to try it now. What are your top 5 skincare and top 5 makeup items from there? I want to make the most of my first purchase to see if I like it before the 60-day free trial ends. So yeah, I just want to make that clear. It's not free. You do still have to sign up for the yearly membership, but you can cancel before your 60 days is up and you don't have to pay anything for the first 60 days. So it's a really good way, I think, to try it, and especially because you have 2 months basically to try out the products that you got and see if you think that you really want to continue or not. And you're free to cancel anytime before that. I think this is honestly a lot better than their $10 day pass that they had. I'm just going to go through these really quickly because I don't want to spend too much time on it. We still have a lot of questions to go. But when it comes to my top 5 makeup, this was really hard because I like so much, but these are the things that I use the most often. The first one is their Super Cheek blushes. These are cream blushes. They come in beautiful glass pots. They have a really nice formula where they're not sticky or too dewy. They really just blend into your cheeks beautifully. They feel like such a high-end blush. They're really, really affordable. The second thing is their Triple Beauty Luminizing Wand. This is a full-on dupe for Charlotte Tilbury's Beauty Light Wand in the shade Spotlight. It only comes in this one color, unfortunately. I hope they end up doing a blush one at some point because I think that would be incredible. The third product is Flash Fall Slash Mascara. This is one of my favorite mascaras. I've repurchased this from them now about 4 times. I really love the teeny tiny brush. It really just makes it easy to grab every single lash, and this does not smudge or flake under your eyes at all. It really stays put all day and it's easy to remove as well. Number 4 would be the Wonder Gloss Collagen Lip Oils. These are such a beautiful formula and they smell incredible. They smell like a vanilla cupcake or a cookie or something. And the feel and texture of them is really what sets these apart because they're not sticky like a gloss. They have sort of a thick, cushiony sort of a feel, and they're so hydrating. And even after the shine wears away, I feel like the hydration that these give your lips lasts like all throughout the day. So I just love and enjoy putting these on. Even if I'm not going anywhere, I'm just hanging around the house, I'll just put it on just because they feel so nice on my lips. And then the 5th product is their Wonder Color Shadow Sticks. These are awesome for just one and done eyeshadow looks. I use these a lot, especially in the summertime. I'll just either take the stick and draw it right on my eye, or I'll put a little bit on my finger and just smudge it on my eyes that way, and just really like one color and you're good to go. They have matte options, they have shimmer, and they're pretty much a spot-on dupe for Laura Mercier's Caviar Sticks. They feel exactly the same. They last for the same amount of time. They don't crease, they don't budge. They're incredible. And again, they're under $10. So those are fantastic. And then when it comes to skincare, I would say the Japan Fusion Cleanser is my number 1 that I've repurchased 3 or 4 times already in the past 2 years. This comes out of the tube like a thick cream, and then it melts into an oil, dissolves all your makeup, but yet it doesn't leave a greasy residue behind. So you don't have to do a double cleanse. I use this every single night to take my makeup off, and it's just my absolute favorite cleanser, hands down. The second product is the Japan Fusion Genius Lift Elixir. This is a serum that just gives your skin so much glow. When you put this on, my skin just sort of comes alive, and I have really dry, dull skin. And when I use this, I notice such a big difference in how luminous my skin looks, and when I don't use it, I can definitely tell the difference. I believe it has anti-aging ingredients in it as well, but I mainly just use it like for the glow that it gives me. And then the third thing is their super active capsules. So I have the ceramide ones at the moment. These are great because you just break open the capsule, they're one use, and the capsules are biodegradable as well. And this just gives my really dry skin some extra ceramides to help kind of build the skin's barrier back up. I like to use these before moisturizer, and it just kind of boosts everything. And they also have vitamin C capsules as well. Those are super potent though. I just want to make that known, but I love it because vitamin C is such an unstable ingredient that when it's in a bottle, it's definitely going to break down over time. When it's in these little capsules, it's like perfectly preserved, and each time you use it, it's fresh and at its maximum potency. So I notice when I use it, they definitely like tingle on my skin. So I don't think they're for sensitive skin types, but I think they're one of the most effective vitamin C's out there. And then the fourth thing, I guess that was kind of two things for number 3, but the fourth thing would be their Super Retinol Moisturizer. Love this stuff as well. It's a retinol that my skin tolerates really well, and I don't end up with all of those negative side effects like peeling and dryness. It really is such a rich, beautiful moisturizer, so I use that one a lot at night. And then the fifth thing is the Japan Fusion Power Elixir Moisturizer. So this is, I would say, a really close dupe for the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream if you've ever tried that one, but it's super pricey. So I love this because, again, it's under 20 bucks, and it just has that really thick and rich, almost like a creamy gel-like texture. It feels very cushiony, and it makes your skin absolutely glow. So those are my top 10 products from Beauty Pie, both makeup and skincare. Okay, moving on. The fifth question is how to get a good foundation color match. I usually end up looking too pale or gray or yellow. I think I have similar coloring to you, pale with pink undertone. I want to end up looking less pale, but not dull gray or yellow. So for me, one of the things that I've learned over the years is not to actually match my skin tone with foundation, because I am very pale, and I find that if I use a foundation that's the same exact color as my skin, I just look even paler because my natural skin has some like a little bit of redness coming through. It's not just a completely blank canvas. And when you put foundation all over and it makes it all one uniform color, it tends to look really flat, especially if it's too pale. And I feel like the paleness brings everything forward and highlights things like pores and texture and dry patches and all that stuff. So I tend to get a foundation that's a little tiny bit deeper than my skin tone, just so that I don't look too pale. If you're looking for a foundation that is more pink undertoned, I would look for something that has cool in the name or rosy. Usually both of those will have more of a pink undertone, but to me, because you're saying that sometimes you look gray, I find that pink undertones can make people look a little bit more gray, whereas warm undertones can make you look too yellow. You might actually be more of a neutral undertone. So that might work even better for you because it's somewhere in the middle. It's not going to be too warm and too yellow. It's also not going to be too pink or too grayish. So I would say maybe look for something that is more of a neutral undertone and a little bit deeper than your skin, especially because I find that most foundations that have a pink undertone are like the lightest shade or down in the lighter shades, and then everything up from there usually is not pink. So I would definitely try that. Go a little bit deeper and try something that says it has a neutral undertone. All right, moving on. Question number 6 is I'm obsessed with light baby pink blushes right now. What are your favorites? I actually am really into those right now as well. So let me show you a couple favorites that I have. The first one is from Revlon, and this one is called Oh Baby Pink. So it's like the perfect baby pink blush, and this formula is fantastic. I showed these in a recent dupes video, and this reminds me so much of the NARS formula. It's really great. Speaking of NARS, NARS Impassioned is another awesome baby pink blush. I think this one is so pretty. It's the one I'm wearing in the video today, and I love it. You can either just do like a simple wash of color with it or apply a little bit more, and it deepens really easily if you want it to. Another super pretty one is from Flower Beauty. It's the Flower Pots blush in the shade Sweet Pea. This is one of my favorites, and this is sort of a baby pink blush that has a little bit more of a dusty pink undertone, but I reach for this one a lot when I'm doing fully cool toned looks and I want a really cool cheek. And then another one I don't hear people talking about a lot, but they're really great, are the Ulta Beauty mineral blushes. This one's in the shade Peony, and I would say out of all of them, this is probably the deepest color, but I feel like it still kind of qualifies as a baby pink because it is a very pale pink. And this is such a beautiful formula as well. And the last one that I have is from a Korean beauty brand called Skin Food. You might remember me talking about their black sugar scrub. I got this on Amazon. This is their buttery cheek cake, and it's in the shade number 1, Berries and Cream. And this one is a baby pink with almost like a light lavender undertone. It's super beautiful. This is probably the palest though out of all the options that I'm showing you. So unless you have really fair skin, it may not show up on you very well. But if you like just a hint of like a barely there blush, this one is awesome. All right, question number 7 is, hey Jen, what about skincare? Are there any products or serums that are more of a one and done instead of multiple products, something a little simpler for summer? I know it's not really makeup, but would love to know what you use and think about skincare for dry skin. Thanks. Okay, so this is actually a good question, especially I find when I'm traveling and I don't want to bring a ton of skincare with me. I usually just bring a cleanser and a moisturizer, and I kind of skip the serums because it's too many steps, it's too many things to bring. And even sometimes just when I'm really tired and I just want a simple routine and I don't want to be layering a bunch of different things on, basically what I'll do is I'll use a cleanser, like let's say at night I'll use my cleanser, which is the Japan Fusion Cleanser from Beauty Pie that removes all my makeup. And then I'll use the Beauty Pie Super Retinol Night Renewal Moisturizer. This has retinol and vitamin C, so it's correcting like sunspots and age spots. And then we have the retinol to attack the fine lines and wrinkles. So it's basically like having your serum and moisturizer in one because it has all those anti-aging ingredients in it. So this is just really like one step all you need. It's a really nice rich moisturizer for dry skin as well. And then during the daytime, I'll usually use just a really gentle cleanser in the shower. And then afterwards, I love this cream from number 7. It's the Lift and Illuminate Triple Action Cream. So this has peptides like Matrixyl 3000, again, like for all the anti-wrinkle benefits. It also has SPF 30 in it too. So it's just like a great one-step moisturizer. And that way you can just go ahead and skip any of the serums that you're using in between because this moisturizer has all of that in it already. It's not just moisture. So those are the 2 products that I personally love to use when I just want to simplify things a lot. Question number 8 is, what are your favorite products for summer? What style of makeup do you love most in the summertime? So in the summertime, I go very, very simple with my makeup. I don't do a lot of steps as far as eyeshadow, especially I love just using a one and done sort of cream eyeshadow in the summer. What I'll do usually is I'll throw on a foundation like this one from Misha. This is their Perfect Cover BB Cream. It's a Korean BB, so it has good coverage, but also still feels like a moisturizer. And you have the Mineral SPF 42 in here as well. And I feel like this has enough coverage to kind of double as a concealer as well, but it doesn't like look heavy on your skin like a full coverage foundation would. So I love this. I'll just put this on all over, kind of skip concealer. Then for my eyes, I'll usually use a one and done shadow like this one from ColourPop. This is their Super Shock shadow in the shade Aster. This is sort of like just a rose gold. It's so pretty as a one and done shadow. I highly recommend the Super Shocks from ColourPop because I feel like they don't go anywhere, they don't budge, and they're really affordable. They come in so many pretty colors. And then I'll just use a cream blush like the e.l.f. Putty Blush or something. This is the one Bora Bora. I've really been loving this color lately because it's like that baby pink shade again. And then I usually just slick on a tinted lip balm like the one from Persona, the E-Balm. I love this one. Or Flower Beauty's Perfect Pout lipsticks. They're more like a tinted lip balm. They're not really like a lipstick. You can almost apply them without a mirror. So they're very sheer and just give a little hint of shine. So that's typically my summer makeup routine, and then mascara, of course. So I just like to try to keep it really simple, and I don't waste a lot of time like putting on multiple eyeshadow colors or contouring, or I don't even really use highlighter. I feel like my skin is kind of dewy enough in the summer. So yeah, that's my summer routine. Question number 9 is favorite Your Lips But Better lip liners, lipstick, and glosses. Okay, so Your Lips But Better, I feel like can kind of vary depending on the color of your lips naturally. I have very pale lips that almost blend in with my skin tone if I'm not wearing lipstick. So I know some of you may have more pigmented lips and Your Lips But Better might be a little bit different than that, but I'll show you the colors that I personally like to use. When it comes to lip liners, these two are just like a hint darker than my normal lips, so I really love these. I have the Essence Stay 8 Hours lip liner in the shade Curious and Koki's lip liner in Dusty Rose. These two are sort of my go-to when I want just a Your Lips But Better. When it comes to lipsticks, I have a few different ones that I use a lot. Flower Beauty's Naked Blush from their Petal Pout line. Also L'Oreal's Color Riche in the shade 173. This is a good dupe for Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk. So this is a really beautiful color and really nice formula. And then Charlotte Tilbury's Superstar Lips in Pillow Talk is another great one. It's like a little bit more on the sheer side, but definitely a Your Lips But Better color. And it has that cushiony sort of gel formula that smooths out all your lip lines and makes your lips look beautiful. So I really love those three for lipstick. And then for gloss right now, of course, my favorite Maybelline Lifter Gloss. I love it in the shade Silk. That looks very similar to the color of my lips, and also L'Oreal's Gloss and Balm, or is it Balm and Gloss? I can never remember, but this one is in the shade Feathery Floor, and this also has that really nice cushiony feel. Actually, both of these glosses just look amazing on your lips and make everything look a lot smoother. Question 10 is, what do you think is the best under eye powder for dry, mature eyes? I would definitely go with the number 7 Lift and Illuminate powder. I personally don't like to use powder under my eyes, but this is the nicest one that I've found as far as just looking really natural, not making your under eyes look older. It's very, very forgiving, makes everything look smooth. So I highly recommend that one. That is my favorite powder that I've found so far. Question 11 is, if you would have to start your eyeshadow collection all over again and you would not be on YouTube, but with everything you know now, what would you do differently and what would you keep the same? Would there be a particular brand that you would start collecting everything of, or a brand that you would not even start collecting, etc.? Looking forward to your video. Thank you. So this is actually a really interesting question. I had to kind of stop and think about it for a second because I have so much eyeshadow. You guys know, if you've seen my collection videos, I really have a lot, and for sure I would not have even a fraction of what I have if I wasn't on YouTube. I know for sure that if I were not on YouTube, I would just buy a palette that I absolutely was like, I need it. I can't stop thinking about it. You know, I would probably wait a little while till the hype sort of died down. And then if it's something that I just can't stop thinking about, maybe after several weeks, then I would go and purchase it. But more often than not, I see a palette come out and I'm excited about it and I'm like, ooh, that's really beautiful. I don't really think about like what I already have in my collection. But then if I don't buy it, I realize a few weeks later, I actually don't even want it anymore. So sometimes you have to separate what's actual hype and everybody getting excited about it versus like, would you actually want to have it in your collection. Another thing I wouldn't do if I weren't on YouTube is buy all of the Natasha Denona palettes. I have just about all of them, and it's really not my favorite formula. The main reason that I buy them is just so that I can do comparisons, so I can dupe them for my channel. But after the first one I purchased, I probably wouldn't have bought any more, except maybe the Glam palette because I really, really like that one. But a lot of brands tend to dupe her palettes, and I usually like the dupe palettes better because they're not quite as pigmented. They're not as difficult for me to work with. Hers are definitely, I feel like, more makeup artist level palettes, which is great. It's awesome, but I just don't feel like I'm skilled enough to use them. So that's another brand that I feel like I probably wouldn't have purchased nearly as much from. But yeah, in general, I feel like I would just have a pretty boring collection for the most part. I would have mostly neutral eyeshadow palettes because that's what I wear when I'm not filming for the most part. So yeah, I'm pretty boring when it comes to eyeshadow. I really don't think I would have nearly what I have now if it wasn't for YouTube. Number 12 is, have you ever had injections like Botox and fillers or want to try it? So no, I actually have never ever had them before. I've never had any work done at all. I'm happy with the way everything looks right now, so I just haven't felt the need to. I'm not opposed to it in the future. I actually have had some people accuse me of having Botox on my eyebrow because my eyebrows are uneven, and I've had people say, you know, did you have Botox like gone wrong on your eyebrow and that's why they're different? No. They're different because I tend to raise this one a lot involuntarily, and then this one over time has just like they've become mismatched because I feel like the muscles on this side are stronger from me always lifting this one, and it's also affected my eyelids because this one is a lot more hooded from the brow being down all the time, and this one's not as hooded from me lifting it up. So I have actually considered getting Botox to correct that, but I'm a little bit nervous because I don't want it to get botched. I've seen kind of horror stories about people trying to fix things and then it ends up worse. So I'm just kind of trying to make peace with the fact that things are uneven. And as far as getting Botox for wrinkles and stuff, no, I don't feel like I have enough to really warrant it at the moment. I mean, down the road, I might feel differently, but for now, I'm pretty happy with my skin and the way everything looks. As far as filler, I've every once in a while considered lip filler. And again, usually it's as a result of a mean comment saying that my lips look dry because they have so many lines in them. They're just naturally lined. And sometimes I kind of get jealous of all of the other people on YouTube that have lip fillers because when they put on lip products, everything just looks so smooth. And I feel like I have naturally full lips, so I wouldn't be getting filler to make them any bigger. I really don't want them any bigger, but you know, I have considered getting a little tiny bit just to maybe kind of plump the lines out and make them look smooth. But no, I haven't actually gone through with it yet. I don't know that I will. Question 13 is, what is your favorite indie brand eyeshadow formula, shimmer specifically? That would have to be Sydney Grace. I haven't tried too many indie formulas, but Sydney Grace is by far my absolute favorite. I think their shimmers are just so intense and so beautiful. I actually have a video of me swatching my Sydney Grace collection, so I will link that down below in case you want to see what those look like if you haven't tried Sydney Grace yet. But yeah, by far, those are my number one. Number 14 is, what's your favorite sunscreen for under makeup, and what one if you're not wearing makeup? Thanks, beautiful. Love you in all your videos. You're the best. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. I would say my favorite sunscreen for under makeup would be the Coats Natural Tinted Primer. This is a mineral sunscreen, but it also doubles as a primer. So it smooths out your pores, fine lines, wrinkles, all that stuff, and really makes a beautiful base for adding makeup on top of. So I tend to use that one if I'm wearing makeup. If I'm not wearing makeup, I love the new one from Versed. I actually talked about this in my last video, I think, the Hidden Gems video. This one I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, but it also is a mineral sunscreen. It really just feels like a moisturizer though. It's a beautiful formula. It soaks right in. It doesn't feel sticky. It actually feels like a chemical formulation as far as just being so silky. You really would never know that it was a zinc oxide formula. So I would say those are my top two of the moment. Question number 15. This one was really fun too. If Essence did another collection of 6-pan eyeshadows, what colors would you want to see? So I would love to see them do a rosy palette, sort of like the Huda Beauty Naughty Nudes or the Natasha Denona Retro, those types of vibes. I know they did like a pink one, but it was kind of more pink. I'm talking about like those deeper, dustier kind of rose shades like Naughty Nude. I think that would be absolutely spectacular. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Number 16 is, hey Jen, what are your favorite spring and summer eyeshadow palettes, or what are your top 10 items to buy from Beauty Pie? So I already did the Beauty Pie part of the question. So my favorite spring and summer eyeshadow palettes, this is kind of a hard question again because there's so many that I love, but I would say, like, because it's spring now, what I'm reaching for the most, I would say the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette, because that one is just stunning and it has so many beautiful like pastel-y like light colors, really pretty for spring. Also the Nabla Dreamy palette. This is one that I always tend to pull out in the spring because it's gorgeous. I love the pinks and purples, and those are the types of colors I tend to reach for a lot and kind of be in the mood for in the spring. The original Norvina palette is another one that has that same kind of vibe. I use that one a lot in the springtime. Tartelette Juicy. I love those sort of brighter rosy tones. It's not quite as deep and smoky as the Huda Naughty Nudes palette, which I tend to use a lot in the fall. I feel like Juicy is sort of like the spring version of that. And then when it comes to ColourPop, I love like the Smoke and Roses palette. I've been using that one ever since it came out, but I think it's a great one for spring and summer because it has some lighter colors in it. Also Blush Crush from ColourPop is another great spring palette. I think it's so pretty. And then Sweet Talk Talk from ColourPop with those peachy tones. That's another good one for spring. The next one I've actually gotten a couple requests for. It says, can you please swatch the shimmers in the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette next to the Flower Beauty Desert Lights palette? I think they might look so similar. So yeah, I didn't even think of this, but you're so right. I see a lot of similarities just looking at them side by side. Obviously the Flower palette is all shimmer shades, so you're not going to get the mattes, but I think the mattes in the Patrick Ta palette you can kind of find in tons of other palettes. They're very neutral for the most part. The shimmers, I think, are really what sets that Patrick Ta palette apart because they are just multi-dimensional and really, really shiny and foiled. They're kind of almost like special shades, but so are the ones in the Desert Lights palette. So here they are side by side. I don't feel like they match up exactly perfectly, but there are a lot of similarities between the two. I think if you have the Desert Lights palette, you probably don't need the Patrick Ta because these shadows are honestly beautiful enough on their own. And then, like I said, if you need some neutral matte shades to go with it, you could always just grab those from another palette that you have in your collection. So yeah, definitely a good call on that. I think it would be a really great alternative. Question number 18 is, hi Jen, I would love to know which medium coverage buildable foundations you like, preferably drugstore for dry skin, but could also be used by someone with combination skin. I would really like to know if there's one out there that looks fresh and naturally dewy without being greasy. So yeah, I actually have a couple that I feel like are really good for dry skin, but also dry down all the way. The first one I actually talked about in a recent video is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. This one is a great like buildable medium foundation that honestly works on a range of skin tones. I had people in the comments saying they had oily skin and this worked really well for them, but as somebody with dry skin, it works great for me too. It just has a really nice light fluid texture, but again, it has that good coverage to it and it dries down completely, so it doesn't feel sticky. Another really good one that I love is the No. 7 Lift and Illuminate foundation. This also looks amazing on dry skin, but it doesn't have like a dewy or sticky feel to it. The third one would be the Sephora Best Skin Ever. This is another really good one. I find it to be really similar actually to the No. 7. They both have like sort of a creamy feel, but not overly emollient. You know, like when I put these on, I don't feel like I have to wait that long to apply powder products on top because they don't have any kind of like dewiness or tackiness to them. So I would say those are my top 3 picks that kind of work for dry or combination skin, but don't leave your skin feeling greasy. Question number 19 is, any good high-end skincare dupes? So I actually can't think of any new ones off the top of my head, but I do have a couple videos. I don't know if you've seen them yet or not. So if you haven't, I will definitely link them down below. I have a couple different ones with tons of different dupes for high-end skincare. So definitely check those out. I normally do makeup dupes, but every once in a while I find enough skincare dupes to make a video out of it. I'm always keeping my eyes out every time I try new skincare to see if anything kind of reminds me of high-end. So hopefully I'll have enough of a list to do another video soon. And then question number 20 is, how can you tell when makeup is expired? So yeah, makeup is kind of really subjective. I feel like if something does have an expiration date, it's really more of like a recommendation or an estimate than an actual like, this is the day it's gonna go bad. Nobody really knows for sure. I think a lot depends on how often you use the product, whether you're dipping your fingers into it or using, you know, a spatula or a brush or something that's maybe not quite as dirty or doesn't have the oils on it. I just tend to look for 3 different things. 1, if it smells off, if the smell has changed in any way, I wouldn't use it. 2 is if it looks off, if something has changed color or the texture looks funny, or if it looks like it might be growing something, obviously then throw it out. And also just if it feels off. A lot of times I have eyeshadow palettes that are many, many years old now, like my Modern Renaissance palette that I got back in 2015 or 2016. And I've noticed that the powder now feels super dry and it doesn't blend like it used to. So I would say it's probably at its expiration date at this point, even though it might not be dangerous to use, it just is not going to perform like it used to. So I think it's time then to buy a new one of those. Even though Anastasia says their palettes expire after 12 months, I honestly don't go by that because most of mine are still fine at that point. But yeah, once you're getting into like several years, things can change. So yeah, I would just definitely check those 3 things, whether it smells off, looks off, or feels off, then get rid of it. Alright guys, so that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you are new here, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button before you go. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care and stay safe. Bye guys.